Now that redaction has been released in QLDB, I want to show a simple demo to bring to life the difference between deletion and redaction. So we're here in the AWS console. We have a ledger that I've just created and it's completely empty. So we'll start off creating a new table which we'll call customer. So this returns the unique table ID of the newly created table, and we're going to need that later, so we'll make a note of this value. Next, we'll insert a record or a document into the customer table. The document itself is denoted by these curly braces. And the string values that we're going to insert, they're denoted by these single quotation marks in particle. So we insert the record, and this returns the unique document ID of that document. And again, we're going to need this value, so we make a note of it. So now we can run a simple query against this table and return the data that we've just inserted. And we can see these values here. Now we'll delete this record. And this record has now been deleted. That means that when we run the query searching for this record, it's no longer returned. And that's because we're querying the user view, which is the latest active revision of the data. But when we delete the record, it is in fact just a logical deletion. Because QLDB also provides the history function, and that's useful as it requires its own unique IAM permissions. So we can now query the history of this document using the unique document ID. And what we see is that 2 revisions are returned. So the first revision, which is version 0, is the data that was inserted when the document was first created. The second revision, which is version 1, is the deletion, and we know that because there is no data structure present. But what if we actually need to remove the data in version 0 to ensure that it's not visible to anyone at a future date? Well, we can now execute a redact statement against this inactive document revision. To do that, we're going to need the block address of this revision, and we can find that block address here. But we're also going to need the table ID and the document ID. If you forgot to make a note of the table ID earlier, you can find it by querying the system catalog for the table. And here we can see this table ID returned. So now we can look to execute a redact statement against the inactive document revision. So here we have the block address of the document revision, and this block address is an iron literal, so we need to use a backtick when we insert that data. We also have the table ID and the document ID. So now we've executed that statement. So if we go back and query the history, we still see the 2 revisions, but this time the version 0, which is the first creation of the document, we now see that the data section has been replaced by this data hash field. So the value of this field is the Amazon ion hash of the removed data structure. And that allows the ledger to maintain its overall data integrity, and it means that it remains cryptographically verifiable. So this hopefully explains the difference between deletion and redaction in QLDB.